What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Silver and Blood video. Okay, folks, many of you guys have been enjoying the game. Some of you guys watch me do the live stream, so make sure you guys join next time I do a live stream. We'll be covering more of this game. But right now, we're going to talk about a tier list, because a lot of you guys have been re-rolling and asking me, Payne, who should you go for and why? You guys can see I'm level 49 at the moment. I did start a couple days ago, and I am getting my vassals up very, very quickly. I've been wailing on this specifically because I want to test out who the best units are and why, and I can now give you guys a general idea of who you should be going for when you're re-rolling, or if you're playing free to play, and which units you want to kind of focus on and which ones you want to stay away from. And this tier list specifically, guys, is going to focus on end game content, all right? Because when you hit a certain point, auto will no longer work as well as you want it to work. We're going to do some tips and tricks and some beginner guides for you as well too, to help you kind of get the best things out of this game. But right now, the main thing is, who should you put your resources towards and who should go under your transfusion? Now, transfusion is a system where you have your top units, or top level units, I should say specifically, who will give you guys the levels, and everyone underneath can mooch off of the lowest level of that top 5. Now, the little trick here is, if you're free to play or if you're pay to win, it doesn't matter. You want to put people up here that have the most amount of advancements. Okay, so these little tokens here, anyone who has 3 will go up to level 200. Those are the ones you want to actually use your resources for, and anyone else you want to actually use that is below that, you want to put under your transfusion so they can take advantage of that level and not having to have all of you leveling up every single character. So this is important. Now, this tier list again will focus on end game. Remember, it's going to focus on what units you should pour all of your resources towards and which ones you should summon for. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. All right, ladies and gents, here we are. Tier list time. I'm going to put myself all the way up here so you guys don't have to worry about seeing my face. So here's how we're going to break it down. S rank, of course, is going to be the top tier rank, the must-have units in the game. The A+ is going to be units that are amazing. Even if you don't have the S units, these units will carry you fairly far. But if you get the S units, of course, you want to swap them around. A units will still do very, very well in most of the modes, but will be obviously trumped by S and A+, whether you meet them PvP or if you have them in PvE, they're just going to do better, but A will still carry you. B+, mostly niche, some decent ones, but eventually you do want to replace them. B, C, and D, you kind of want to avoid as much as you can. So, and honestly, let's be real, majority of these units are going to be comprised of folks that are in the Transcendent section, but there are a few here that are top tier that are not Transcendent, and a few of them that are below the Transcendent. So let's talk a little bit about each one of them. So first off, there's a current banner going on that everybody, and I mean everybody, should be re-rolling for, and that's Lamia. Lamia is probably, if not the best DPS in the game, and one of the easiest non-transcendent units to get, with the current limited banner being focused on her. So everybody who is planning to go for Lamia, you're doing the right thing. Try to get her up as fast as you can. Not only does her ultimate hit massive amounts of damage, but it hits multi-targets, and she has a basic attack special that also does hit multi-targets as well too. If you can get past the annoying little voice, this is probably going to be your best unit for quite some time, so definitely go for her. And this is probably one of the best non-transcendent units in the game. Now, speaking of transcendent units, the best healer in the game is going to be Seth. Now, Seth actually is amazing for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's a 4 count ultimate, which will do massive AoE healing to everybody. She also has a great heal on top of that as a special, and then just pretty much unstoppable when it comes down to healing. The best healer in the game, pure healer, that is, right? And there's one other unit here that does fairly decent healing but gives you buffs, and that's Acapella. Acapella gives you guys insane amount of buffs. Magic buff, I believe crit buff as well, and physical buff, if I recall. All of those being done as best support units. Now you guys can see the 3 of these here complete the blood moon. You got a full moon, you got a quarter moon, you got a half moon, right? So these right here on your team will carry you very, very far, and you'll actually become very hard to kill. Now, unfortunately, you lack a little bit of DPS unless you use Lamia here the entire time. Now, speaking of DPS, if you want to add more to this list of DPS units, Transcendent Haiti is the best physical damage dealer in the game, with the option of Pestilence. Pestilence does an incredible amount of true damage as well. I believe, if I recall, it's true damage. So you'd absolutely want to get her if you can. Again, Transcendent units are amazing, right? I'd say she's a little bit better than Lamia, but not a lot harder to get up. So in that case, Lamia kind of takes the cake for top DPS still. And then the last one I'd probably put here as well too is going to be Incendiary Agaris and Transcendent Amy. Amazing tank, amazing DPS. The good thing about Agaris in this format is he actually does targeted single damage burst, like beam, essentially a flame, and then when he takes damage at the same time and dies, he resurrects and gets a free ultimate essentially to do it again. So it can do really, really big damage really fast, but you of course got to be careful of that whole death part of it. And then Transcendent Amy is just an incredible tank overall. So these are probably your best overall S S rank units, the top tier units in the game. There's a couple honorable mentions. I'm going to put them a little bit below, and that is going to be, the next one is probably going to be Transcendent Noah, which is actually an incredible AoE DPS and a fairly decent tanky marksman, surprisingly enough there for me. And then the next one up here is going to be Van Helsing. Van Helsing, I think, is a little bit better overall. Where's Van Helsing? Let me just find him. There he is. I would probably put him as close to S as possible, but I say probably A plus here because he does fall off a little bit at the end game. We're talking about like later levels, and he's a little bit easier to get than Transcendent Noah, so he does get a little bit of an advantage there. But if you're a massive whale, Transcendent Noah will probably do more for you. But Van Helsing is an incredible SSR unit and one that everybody should be going for. Another really powerful unit and is honestly probably the biggest pest in PvP modes is Starry-Eyed Ionia. Her shields are just crazy. Number one, she drops a shield on the grid right away for you, so you can put somebody there to get an instant shield. And on top of that, her shields are so damn strong that literally she can almost 1v the entire team and not lose in PvP mode. So she's very frustrating and annoying, and actually does a great job as well too in PvE modes, keeping you alive as well along the way. Now as well, Lyman here, unfortunately I love her as a unit. She has great AoE, amazing debuffs as well too. The problem with her is her expensive ultimate. It costs 6 points to cast. Now this, in my opinion, is not the greatest option to go with, so I would put her in A+. She's still an amazing unit, but unfortunately when it comes down to the amount her ultimate cost, she just kind of falls down a little bit further into the actual list. Then I would love to put her in S, but she just doesn't belong there, unfortunately, because of that one reason, in my opinion. Now, one other unit that I really like, not many people are fans, but I love it, and that's Spectral Gilrain. I love the fact that he targets back units, and he has a very powerful AoE damage dealing move, and I think he's actually fairly good DPS overall. I would put him in A+. A lot of people don't agree with that, but I think he's actually really good in regards to doing that. Now let's go over to the A list now of people. Now A list is going to be some of the better units out there, but again will be, in my opinion, outshined by this list here. If you guys don't agree with this, it's all good. I still think these units are my favorite so far to use after testing everybody out. I think one other unit I would add in here, if I had a choice, would be Bella, but I'm actually going to put Bella up here instead. Bella, or actually, sorry, wrong unit. Where's Bella? There she is. Bella is probably the most fun tank to use, in my opinion, because of the fact that she can summon puppets, and when she summons her ultimate, the puppet lands in an area and actually stuns everybody, which actually works really well with another unit if you plan to use this unit, and that's Selena. So Selena is great with her, but Bella has a great tanking ability and also has little adds and puppets that help you kind of survive. And that big massive puppet that comes out and stuns things, it has a ton of elite health as well too, so very good for that regard. Now Agaris, the non-transcendent version, I like as well too, because in some bosses you're going to need some dots, so I do find his flame dots are actually really good, so I do enjoy using him quite a bit in those circumstances, but he is very niche in my opinion. But because of that dot and the fact that he does continuous damage, he kind of does have a place in this section in my opinion. Not the first unit I would go for, but still a fairly powerful unit nonetheless. Okay, so make sure you use that. Next up, we're gonna put Edina. So if you are looking for a fairly decent healer, just pure healer, and you don't have Seth, she's actually a good option. Again, not as powerful as Seth or as good as Starry-Eyed Ione or Acapella, but still not a bad true healer to help you kind of get through everything. A couple more DPSs here. I kind of do like Hathy, but I think Hathy's going to just go down a little bit. She does have the rush options. Gilrain's a fairly good DPS as well too. Let's put in a couple of other ones without going full disclosure. A really good tank here. I do like Frederick. Where is he? Right over here. Good tank as well too. So not a bad option. The only unit I actually haven't used yet is Augustine. No idea what Augustine does. Not a clue. So unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to use him. So I'm going to put D, I'm going to say untested. Okay? Untested. I'm going to actually just be honest with you guys on that one. I actually don't know what he does. Amy's not a bad option as well. I think Amy's a fairly decent option for a healer. I think the problem with Amy, well, the good thing with Amy is the fact that she has good buffs. You know what I might do? I might do this. I actually think Amy's a better option only because of her attack speed buff. And that actually does help quite a bit in terms of getting people going in terms of damage, right? If you have good physical damage dealers or close-up damage dealers or people who just do basic attacks, she does increase the attack speed, which does help quite a bit. All right, so that I would put her up there. In terms of B pluses, I think that pretty much sums up. Actually, where's Hathy? Where's Hathy? Where is she? I do like her quite a bit. There she is. I'll put Hathy in there. I think she's worth it. I think she does have a good rush and good DPS up close quarter combat. Unfortunately, she's just a one-trick pony, but nonetheless, still gets the job done. All right, let's go down to B pluses. Darcius first. She's actually pretty good. Does lifesteal as well with her ultimate. And decent tank actually in terms of tanking and DPS. She does do quite a bit, so you can get quite a bit out of her as well too. Another unit that I actually quite enjoy is going to be Mass. Mass is actually not a bad option. I do like Gilrain, Spectral Gilrain a lot more, but Mass is a decent option if you want an assassin who goes behind the opponents and does damage from behind. I do find she's not as powerful early on, but she might have a massive amount of potential late game, right? So that's something I still got to play around with. Next up here we have ourselves Nicole. Good DPS again, does pretty much what you need her to do in regards to damage, but just unfortunately outshined by some of the other top DPSs up here. Risa, another really good DPS that I actually do enjoy using. And then over here in regards to, where is she? Cicia. There we go. I like Cicia. Pretty good unit. So I'm going to put her up there. Let's see who else we got on here. I'm trying to see who else I can think of. Atavia, to be honest, haven't tested her enough yet. Not enough testing yet to kind of give you guys a full-on description of whether she's good. And Pavana also have not tested, so those ones I can't say. All right, let's go over to B. Selena, unfortunately, not a very good marksman. If you can get, she's very niche. She's good for stuns, but if you can get her with a stun team, she actually does a little bit better with the shadow marks. But overall, I wouldn't say she's very good. I could probably keep her there and focus on other units to build up over her instead. Let's see, who else do we have here? Piera, same thing. I'd say B right here. Triss, honestly, haven't tested yet, so can't really tell you much there. Yeah, the tree. Not a fan of his tanking abilities. I could be wrong at how good he is, but I feel like he's one of the worst tanks when I used him. He didn't do well for me, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. Joan, oh my goodness, poor Joan. I feel like they didn't do a very good job with her. Theo, I'm going to put him over here because I feel like Theo is actually not a bad tank. He does have taunt, which I do like. He actually might be better off here than anything else. That might work a little bit better for him. But I feel like I got to build him more to test him a little bit further. All right, now for Kane, I don't know how I feel about Kane yet. I honestly haven't had a chance to really test him either. So I'm going to put him here. And then Theobald also, I believe he was not bad. I think he's probably a B unit right there from my testing that I've done. And then everyone else are SRs. SRs we're going to not bother. Honestly, they probably belong all over here. Yeah, I'd probably put SRs here just to kind of round out the whole situation. Some of them are decent early on, but your SSRs are going to just pretty much take over, right? You're never really going to use your SRs at all. And then that right there should sum up your tier list from my testing so far, guys. I got a lot more testing to do, so this is very preliminary day 4 testing that I've done for chapter 12 PvP, you name it. I'm hoping to come up with a better list as time goes on, but right now I think this is probably going to be my tier list that I'd focus on. If you're going to re-roll, these are the units you kind of want to focus on. I'd stop at A, and then anything below that I wouldn't bother. Try to go A and up if you can. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.